So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to be talking about the EEOC Commissioner's smackdown of Mark Cuban and how this relates to the actual law, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Let's get right into it. Mark Cuban was doing an Ask Me Anything on Twitter 5 days ago, and he got a question from the rabbit hole, and it appears he went into a rabbit hole with the rabbit hole, right? But here, you can see the rabbit hole saying that he'd be against hiring a white person purely because they're white. Don't hire anyone on the basis of demographics. Colorblind meritocracy should be the goal. And then Mark Cuban asked how far the demographics extend. I think this is frankly a strange question from a person who's a billionaire, but asks how far they extend. The rabbit hole seems to respond with colorblind meritocracy, and then Mark Cuban responds, never hired anyone based exclusively on race, gender, but that it can be part of the equation. He says, quote, and yes, race and gender can be part of the equation. I view diversity as a competitive advantage, end quote. This is where it ultimately gets quite spicy. The EEOC commissioner weighs in, Andrea Lucas, and she says, quote, unfortunately, you're dead wrong on black letter Title VII law. As a general rule, race/sex can't even be a motivating factor, nor a plus factor, tiebreaker, or tipping point. It's important employers understand the ground rules here, and he, as a massive employer, should understand what the rules of the EEOC and what she's referring to. So let's go back. She says, according to black letter Title VII law, let's give a little bit of information surrounding that. Here she's referring to the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The Civil Rights Act was a landmark piece of legislation in the United States that represented a pivotal moment in the country's ongoing struggle for civil rights and equal protection under the law. It was enacted under the height of the civil rights movement, and it aimed to end racial segregation and discrimination in various aspects of public life. There were quite a few titles. Title I of the Act prohibited unequal voter registrations. Title II outlawed discrimination in public accommodations, but the most important was Title VII, which addressed workplace discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. And that really transformed the employment landscape by prohibiting discrimination by employers on these grounds and establishing the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to enforce its provisions. It's had a long-lasting impact on the society, and here you can see the EEOC commissioner, of which was founded from the Title VII Act, responding to Mark Cuban in this way. Here you can see Title VII. It says it's an unlawful employment practice for an employer to, one, fail to or refuse to hire or to discharge any individual, or otherwise to discriminate against any individual with respect to his compensation, terms, conditions, or privileges of employment because of such individual's race, colors, religion, sex, or national origin. And so you can see here that Mark Cuban is making the indication that he has done this because he's used race and gender as a point in his hiring practices, and that would result in refusing to hire someone because of this sort of positive discrimination that he's doing. And by positive here, I mean he's viewing one group more favorably, and as a result excluding another group. And that's what the EEOC commissioner is referring to. There were some people speculating that Mark Cuban might face lawsuits after, quote, defending DEI, specifically surrounding this response by the EEOC, but I tend to believe that that's not actually the case, and the reason is that he's actually admitted he's prejudiced in the past. In 2014, when he was having a discussion about Donald Sterling, which was a famous incident where a NBA owner was expelled as a result of some of his racist comments, he said, I think we're all bigots, and I don't think there's any question about that. And Cuban went on to say, I know I'm prejudiced, and I know I'm bigoted in a lot of different ways. There's a part of me that always takes into account race, gender, and age. And so, based on these comments, it's very clear that this is not new to Mark Cuban. This discussion is not new. This won't probably impact his business at all because any halfway decent lawyer could just find this and respond and blow it up in court, I imagine. So as a result, there's definitely a world where I suppose he could face renewed lawsuits, but ultimately he's already admitted this very publicly. The EEOC has, or the commissioner has outwardly said that this is discriminatory hiring practices and that he's not allowed to do that. I am very curious about the future of Mark and how his HR professionals will sort of rein in these comments and how they will make their systems more fair to make sure that any type of interviews in which Mark is involved in, do not have this stain of what he admits to be prejudiced. Let me know what you think about Mark and his comments in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.